want to begin with the fam. Of course, you are a sister to a former field hockey player. I think your sister, Carissa, also played lacrosse in high school, I think, or you played both?
High school. I played both, but Krista played field hockey here. We both played field hockey and lacrosse in high school.
In high school, that's right. So back, people who don't remember, Carissa played field hockey for Lynchburg, and Korinne plays for women's lacrosse. Knowing Carissa's experience with field hockey, how similar or different are Enza Steele and Bruce Reed?
I don't know. I feel like their way they coach the team is a little different, but it's very much the same at the same time. Experience. I think that overall each team just has their own, vibe to it, I guess. And that's how it always is. Each team is just very different, but both were such it's just both like a family in each team. It's like each team you're with, it's like these are your like sisters, and like that was cool with having Carissa as a sister, but like everyone else, you just have each other's back in each team. I think that was so cool because in high school, I always played, and it was always every team that I played with, I was always so close to all the girls. And so I feel like each team here that I played with, field hockey and lacrosse, I had that experience.
Yeah, that's a very good answer. It's a very good political down the middle answer. But it's true, too, at the same time. It's very true. Of course, Coach Steele has history with women's lacrosse. She was the first coach with the program as well. So all of that kind of comes together at the end of the day. I'm curious, because we've seen this before. Sarah Suter was another that started with field hockey and moved over to women's lacrosse. Both you and your sister played both in high school. Where the similarities, lie in that you can go from one to the other, or even play both in the same season. Obviously, you're carrying a stick, but one's up here and one's down here. Is it as easy as it seems to go from one to the other?
I guess for me, my whole entire life, I've really just played both. So I didn't know anything different. So I feel like some people would say, oh, no, it's not easy. And I don't want to say it was easy because wasn't easy, but I guess doing it my whole life, it just kind of became natural. I mean, obviously there was their challenges. I mean, once, you're down here, like you said, and then you're back up here, and it's always funny because like during lacrosse season in high school, I had to get out of the habit. So I would run down the field with my hockey stick up here, and my coach would like scream at me like, stick down. I would be like, oh God, like, where am I? But, and in the beginning, like every year when I would play both, I would go into lacrosse season, and like my first day of practice, I'd be like, going through the rules again in my head. Like, what do I do? No, stick down, ground balls. So that was kind of, always the way it was. But I guess it always just kind of came natural. I mean,
we got off the family thing I was trying to get to, and that's just the way it goes when you have conversations. But one really cool fact that I was told when I first got here was that your family loves the letter K, apparently. So obviously you're Korinne and your sister's Carissa. What, your mom and your dad also are Ks? Like, how does that come about?
So I don't know if there's an actual story behind it, and it would be really interesting to ask. And I feel like I probably have before, but I don't think it was anything, significant. But, it was just interesting because I guess I was the youngest. So my dad was Kevin, my mom's Carrie, my brother's Caleb, Carissa, Corinne, and our dog's name now is Callie.
Oh my.
And we had a cat, and we never really named the cat besides Kitty. So like, it's so funny to think, but it was really cool. I always thought it was really cool that we all had the like same letters. And like, now that I look back at it, I'm like, I kind of would love to like hold that like tradition, or maybe if a different letter, but I don't think there's much significance behind it besides like, I guess it all just flowed.
Yeah. It may have started with the first kid, and it was like, all right, we're in it.
Yeah,
keep
exactly.
going. You kind of answered my next question a little bit. Do you feel obligated to keep it going with one day if you have a family, or even with your dogs and stuff like that?
No, I don't think it's really like something that it's like I feel obligated to do at all. I just kind of liked it. Like I was like, "Ooh, this is kind of cool," the older I got. But I guess if it works out as easy as it did for my parents, because I feel like the more I think of it, I'm so picky of like what names. So it's like trying, and like I feel like there's so many K names, but at the same time, it's like I don't know.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll have to wait and see.
True. Yeah. Time will tell. I think you're right. There are a good chunk of K names, but you could run out of good ones. So maybe you could just take a C name and put a K in front of it. And,
Yeah. Well, that's what a lot of people spell my name with a C. And like I'm always like, nope. Okay.
You guys are able to practice. You guys are able to have scrimmages. You got class. You've got break coming up. There's all this stuff happening. Trying to do everything virtually. What has been for you the hardest part about trying to balance everything and being flexible too, because things change on the daily?
Yeah, so I'm not gonna lie, like everything so far has been not easy at all. I mean, I'm sure everyone can relate if they don't want to admit it or not, but I think the hardest part for me is not being, I'm just the type of person likes to go, go, go. I don't know how to like sit down and like just like relax sometimes for a second. So I think the hardest part for me is like not having that set schedule as much. So it's like it's still there, but it's not like, you're not going to class all the, it's a lot of classes virtual, and it's like having to adjust from, your classes are at this time and you're going to this place, but now it's like, oh no, you got to get on at 10 on this, and then you got to walk to class on this one. It's kind of like figuring out like time management with that has definitely been a little bit of a struggle, but as time's gone on, just got to push through and learn how to make it work. But it's definitely been, an interesting ride, but we're lucky to have what we have right here and let we're be able to do what we have.
Do you think what you see now is a good barometer of where you are going to be or where you could be? Like, do you feel like there's still a lot of adjustments needed, or this is pretty much where we are?
As like a team?
Yes, as a team, yes.
So I think there's always room for improvement. I think that like the fall is kind of like, we set the tone and we just kind of like ride it from there, like get to the best we can. And then like we go home for these 2 months and it's like, and we don't come back. So it's kind of like, everything we've done and worked for here in the fall, it could all go away in those 2 months if you don't put in the work. But I think definitely like we've come a long way since the beginning of practice when we first started. But I think there's always room for improvement. And I think even throughout the spring season, we get better every day. And that's the way I look at it.
To wrap things up with some Halloween spookiness,
Okay, excited.
I know you're all about scary movies. Apparently, I don't.
I watch them, but I wouldn't say I exactly watch them. Oh God!
You've seen it, but you didn't really pay attention because you didn't want to be too scared. So basically, all I need you to do is tell me if what I read you is real life or scary movie.
Okay.
So I'm just going to read you short paragraph synopsis and give you the opportunity to tell us what you think, if it really happened or if it's part of the movie. All right?
Excited.
Okay, here's the first one. I'm excited too. I've never done this before, so this would be fun. A Houston area family had a doll gifted to them. They had the doll for 6 years, then decided to throw it out. Weeks later, though, the parents found the doll inside a bench in their living room. After questioning the kids, it was determined that they did not take it from the garbage. Furthermore, the doll no longer sang and only spoke in Spanish. After tossing it out again and coming home from a vacation trip, there it was in the backyard. What happens next can only be seen to believe.
Oh, the dolls. I want to say this is real life.
You're correct.
No way.
Yeah. Wow.
I'm good at this.
You are really good at this. I would have thought maybe like the Annabelle kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it actually happened in Houston. It was an Elsa doll, by the way. Yeah, creepy, even creepier. Yeah, and actually I added the last part. There is an end to the story. They shipped it to a friend in Minnesota, and he taped it to the front of his bumper on his truck. So that's where the doll lives now, in cold Minnesota. So 1 for 1. Good job, 1 for 1. All right, here is another. 2 Americans adopted a child after a miscarriage. All is well until the mother becomes pregnant. After the adopted child's nanny commits suicide, a priest is sent to investigate and warns that the adopted child will continue to be the common denominator of grief and sorrow. After this warning, the old priest dies and the mother miscarries again after mysteriously falling off a balcony in their home. The father decides to investigate and realizes his adopted son may be the Antichrist.
Scary movie.
Yeah, that one's kind of easy. That's an Omen. Some people probably already knew it before. There was the original, and I think they made another one like 10 years ago or something. But yeah, Damien was the Antichrist. 2 for 2.
Wait,
all right.
I actually watched that the other day.
You think it was a new one or the old one?
The old one.
Could you tell?
Is it on Netflix?
Probably.
Okay, I don't know, but go ahead.
See, you did your homework and didn't even know. All right, here's the last one. A couple is driving across the Midwest when their trip comes to a halt after finding a dead body of a boy in the middle of the road. In trying to contact authorities, they come to a small town where the only people around are children. They meet the young preacher of the town and soon have to flee when they find out the children want to sacrifice them to their demonic icon.
Scary movie?
Yes. 3 for 3.
Whoa.
Children of the Corn. Children of the Corn is the movie from I think it was the 70s or 80s. Well, you breezed right through those. So I had another one on here. I put a fourth one in case you were really bad to give you an extra chance. But now,
Surprise you.
For all the marbles, for all the money, there is no money, by the way. For the grand prize, we'll see if you can go 4 for 4.
Okay.
This one's a little bit longer, so stay with me.
All right.
A young woman was traveling the West Coast and vlogging about every spot she visited. She also called her parents each day to update them on her trip. One day, she didn't call, and soon it was determined that she had gone missing. After scouring surveillance footage, she was last seen in an elevator, pacing, talking to invisible people, and continuing to open and shut the elevator door. Hotel guests were complaining about the black and bad-tasting water supply shortly thereafter. When an employee went to check the storage tanks on the roof, there was her decomposing body with her personal items nearby.
That's tricky. Yeah, get me on this one. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to say real life.
4 for 4! Crushed it. Crushed it. That happened in LA at a hotel that actually had like 3 other mysterious things take place in it. So yeah, and if you're really interested, the video of that lady in the elevator is on YouTube.